Hello. Um, so I'm holding a tablet. This is a Android tablet, the Redmagic Astra. It's a new one. Um, from Redmagic, of course. So This is a generic overview, I guess, of this thing. It's a small tablet, aimed for gaming, I guess. And this is accompanied by RGB lights and Snapdragon 8 Elite CPU, or I should say SoC. Um, and it has a OLED screen, which is quite nice actually. Um, Overall, this is pretty well made, I should say, and it looks really nice. Looks very slick. If you turn it on, you can see that the screen margin is uniform. It has basically it has the same width all around, right? Which is quite nice. There's a front camera in the margin, so yeah. The screen is, like I said, OLED. Looks very good. And this is a 165 Hz panel. On the side profile, essentially it has a really subtle curve to it, which makes the holding actually feels good. It has a red button, and since it's a gaming tablet, this red button must be the gaming mode. It has a USB-C port, and the port is not centered. So there's that. The power button is also a fingerprint reader. It's a really narrow button with a small surface area, so I'm not sure how secure that is, but it certainly works in the sense that I can use my fingerprint to unlock, and I can use, if I use a finger that is not registered, it will not unlock. But the main feature, or the main trick, is at the back, where you have this panel. This is, I believe, glass. If you used Redmagic devices before, you are probably familiar with this. Here we have a camera. And this is not a camera, this is actually a fan. So on the left, you have a Redmagic branding. And there's actually a trick under this branding. And there's a very faint text underneath that says, win more games. So, yeah. There's also another text that says vapor chamber for maximum gaming performance, I guess. It also says Snapdragon 8 Elite for maximum gaming performance, and composite liquid metal for maximum gaming performance. And also, apparently now everything is liquid for some reason. So that's the outside, essentially. So let's turn it on. Overall, this is a pretty standard Android experience, I should say. Like I said, this screen is 165 Hz. And if you're unsure, you can see that it says so on the status bar. So, yeah. It is bundled with a bunch of apps. I have basically gathered all of these in a separate page. The first one you can see is called Mora. This is actually kind of interesting because it's essentially a waifu. So yeah, you can sort of kind of interact with it. Yeah. It also has some settings. You can apparently also set her up, but there's not a lot of skins, I should say, right now. So yeah, that's Mora. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what else. What else? What kind of other uses it has other than, I don't know. Just look at it. Phone switch. I've not used it, so not sure how well that works. It also has a clock. This is not the Google official clock app, but it certainly works. And interesting thing is it actually shows the time on the icon, whereas the official Google app doesn't do that on this device. It does that on my Pixel phone, but not on this one. Not sure why. There's an app called Cleanup. Not use it. Not sure how well that works. It also has its own browser. Probably just don't use it. The choice of browser will determine who will have access to your data, right? If you want Mozilla, for example, to have your data and probably sell it to someone else later, you can use Firefox. If you want Google to have your data and train their AI models with it and then sell it to someone else, you can use Chrome. And also, if you use Chrome if you don't want to have useful plugins. If you want CryptoBros to have your data and probably sell it to someone else later, you can use Brave, which is just Chrome with a different skin. And if you want ZTE to have your data and probably sell it to someone else, you can use this browser because Redmagic is a brand under ZTE. And also, I'm sure this is just another skin of Chrome. So yeah, just use Chrome or Firefox or whatever. Don't use this. There's also a weather app. It's probably fine. I've accidentally opened it once, and it certainly worked. So there's that. There's an app called Gopher. This is Redmagic's own app to control so-called IoT devices. I think by IoT they actually mean their accessory hardwares, probably with RGB lights. So yeah, there's a file manager. It works again, but it doesn't have SMB support. So I don't have really any special use for it. There's a voice recorder that records sound. Yeah. There's a app called Dialogue Translation. I assume this is one of those apps that like translate your speech or other speech in real time. Not sure how well that works, but probably don't want to use it because you don't know how they will use your voice data, right? There's also an app called Private Space, which is supposed to put your private stuff in it. I wouldn't trust it. All other things are just pure garbage, so there's that. A lot of apps on this page I'll probably just uninstall right after the review or overview. So there you go. Of course, it also has a bunch of Google apps pre-installed as required by calling this a Android device. So Google certainly has its own set of garbage apps, but that's the reality. So I've mentioned this before, but there's a side switch, and this indeed is the gaming mode switch. So if I turn it on, so it plays this really cringeworthy animation, and then it enters this really cringeworthy interface where you can start games. So for example, I have antimatter dimensions, so I can just press this button to start it, and it does start. So that's very good. It's also very smooth, very good performance. And it has its own settings and whatnot. Another thing is, if you start a game, you can see that the fan actually lights up and it's spinning. So there's that. So how well does the fan work? I don't really have a benchmark, but I've read another benchmark which tests this against the Lenovo Snapdragon 8 Elite tablet. This fan actually does work, and it actually keep the frame rate and the CPU frequency stabler than on the Lenovo. So there you go. And by the way, even if you don't have, even if you're not in gaming mode, you can just start a game, and basically everything works as if you're in gaming mode because you really are in gaming mode. It basically detects that you're in game and enables the gaming mode for you. And also, while you are in that gaming mode, you can swipe to get access to this screen. So, yeah, I guess it's useful for some people. Yeah. How do I turn it off? Okay, sure. There's another trick on this device. So let me start YouTube, and I'll just play some random things, right? So look at on the back this Redmagic branding. It actually has RGB lights, and it reflects how the sound goes. So that's pretty nice. You can also customize how this looks. You have a separate page for this RGB setup, and where you can just change the light pattern and so on and so forth, which is actually quite nice. Other than that, there's not a lot of special things. So yeah, that's an overview. Like, hopefully this is useful somehow.